Episode 142. The two great masters on either side of the screen nearly turned to stone on the spot.
Who the hell came up with that name?
The stuff that Qi Chuanzi just threw on Han Yanru is called dispersal powder. It's a level 20 skill for a witch. When successfully cast on a target, it can remove one beneficial status effect from them. It also slows the target's attack casting and movement speed. Even if the target has no active buffs, the speed reduction effect will still take hold. With a duration of 10 seconds, this is a common control skill for witchcraft scholars. This skill currently had no nickname or abbreviation, but now, thanks to Brawler, he named it after a laxative, and now he's talking about the body going soft and the movements slowing down. The slower movement is real enough, but where did this body going soft nonsense come from? Both big shots were stunned by steamed bun invasion, especially since Tianqi and Mid-Month Slumber were both stunned over there. Thanks for the question. That actually does seem pretty accurate. Bunny invasion had, at some unknown moment, slipped silently behind Carriage's son. He slammed a brick right into the back of his head, but Wang Jiexi was no Tang Ru. Without even looking back, he had already been keeping a close eye on steamed bun invasion's movements. He suddenly crouched, causing steamed bun invasion's brick to whiff through the air. Qi Chuanzi seized the opening with a low-level sweep, the weakest floating skill in the launcher's arsenal. It's the weakest float effect among all 24 classes. The character was sent flying by the sweep, about to hit the ground in an instant. He did manage to steady himself, but it was a move so subtle it was almost impossible to spot. But Wang Jiaxi's skill was on a whole other level. In that brief moment of suspension, he had already executed his move. Qi Chuanzi rode his broom, completing a short flight. With a sweeping blow of his broom, he sent steamed bun invasion airborne, following up with 6 consecutive strikes that sent both characters soaring higher and higher. With one final, heavy blow, he slammed steamed bun invasion down to the ground. His character, Qi Chuanzi, however, just rode his broom back down to the ground with leisurely ease. This kind of attack was only possible thanks to the passive skill unlocked at level 20 after the witch's job advancement, Broom Mastery. The broom is the unique weapon of a witch. Only after specializing as a witch can one wield it, while an unspecialized character can use the vast majority of weapons. However, there are a few special weapons exclusive to certain classes that even an unspecialized player can't wield. The Swordmaster's lightsaber is one example, and the witch's broom is another. The passive skill granted by this broom allows the witch to fly while mounted on it, and to perform consecutive aerial attacks with the broom. Not every class has a skill like this. The aerial combat prowess of a witch is a real headache for many other classes. Bunny Invasion's control wasn't bad. He'd picked up some decent PK experience from his time in the arena, yet he was still being toyed with so easily. A flurry of broom sweeps culminating in a final, decisive smack. Steamed Bun Invasion tried to use a quick recover to avoid being knocked down, but in his haste, he couldn't pull it off in time. He slammed face first into the ground, cratering the dirt, and that was no accident. It was all because Wang Jiexi had deliberately used a continuous stream of attacks to control Steamed Bun Invasion's landing posture during the assault, forcing him to rely on complex operational judgment or high APM if he wanted to perform a quick recover. Otherwise, it would be too late to execute. The precision of a pro's calculations and execution is leagues beyond any ordinary player. The moment Qi Chuanzi landed, Han Yanru was already upon him, her battle lance sweeping in with a ferocious momentum. But Broom Mastery was a passive skill with no cooldown to speak of, ready to use at any moment. Poplar jumped again, flying away on his broomstick. Tang Ru maneuvered Cold Mist, weaving left and right, but she just couldn't close the gap. Once Bun's invasion scrambled back to his feet, he charged forward without hesitation to join Cold Mist in the assault. The result was the two of them getting played like fiddles. If Tiang Qi and Yu Zhongmiang were to actually PK, they'd definitely lose to Tang Ru and Steam Bun Invasion. But as spectators, their skill level was a cut above those two. Yet now, they could all see that although this 1-inch Ash was fighting 1 against 2, yet he was completely in control, leading Steamed Bun Invasion and Cold Mist around by the nose. Take this, Steamed Bun Invasion, unable to land a hit for so long, was furious. He hurled a brick straight from his hand. Then, he saw Quyang Chizi riding his broom, flying back through the air to meet him. He leaped up and swung his broom. In mid-air, the attack from the broom was incredibly precise, shattering the flying brick instantly. Instead, the brick flew back, with or without eyes, straight toward its owner, Bun's Invasion. "Shit!" Steamed Bun Invasion yelled, and was about to duck for cover. But then, a flash of sword light. The brick was cleaved to dust in mid-air. Ye Xiu finally made his move, unleashing a draw sword slash that precisely shattered the already weakened and harmless brick. As soon as he landed, Qi Chuanzi fired a magic bullet at Lord Grimm, then immediately hopped back on his broomstick to make a break for it. But he hadn't expected Lord Grimm to completely ignore the magic bullet, leaping up instead to bring a mountain breaker strike crashing down. The priority of this mountain breaker strike was leagues beyond that magic bullet. Even though it was hit by the projectile, it only dealt damage, with no interruption effect whatsoever. Just as the mountain crusher was about to strike home, mounted on his broom, Qi Qiangzi suddenly performed an impossible tilt, now flying level, but angling sharply upward. The mountain crusher strike was thus evaded by a hair's breadth. Qi Qiangzi followed up by leaping into the air, spinning 180 degrees, and sweeping his broom down in a powerful strike. Then he saw Lord Grimm, who had just finished his mountain breaker strike, seemingly flicker. A shadow clone technique. Wang Jiexi had instantly realized the danger, but broom mastery wasn't an endless ticket to fly around the sky. Wang Jiexi had already swerved during his flight, and his jump was cut short before he could land. He couldn't possibly take to the air on his broom again. There was no way to dodge. With a flick of his mouse, Wang Jiexi spun Qi Qiangzi around another 180 degrees, just as expected. Lord Grimm's shadow clone technique had flashed him into the air, right behind his opponent. A foot came stamping down, using the striker skill Eagle Stamp. Poplar hurriedly swung his broom. Even if he took the hit, he had to make Lord Grimm pay. With no way to dodge, he had no choice but to adopt this mutually destructive tactic. As for Lord Grimm, but the Eagle Step didn't chain into more stomps. After just one kick, he abruptly drew his sword and held it upright. He actually managed to execute a parry mid-air, blocking the sweeping broom, and was sent flying back. The master of Qi Qiangzi, the real Qi Qiangzi, now stood behind Wang Jiexi, was utterly dumbstruck. In that split-second mid-air, they had already exchanged a flurry of maneuvers.
In the end, it was actually Master Jiexi who came out worse for wear.
Just who is this Zheng Moxiao, anyway?